Hey there, hope you're doing well. The beauty of software, much like everything else in life, is that there's no single best answer, right? Every situation is different, and we've got to put our best foot forward to addressing that situation with whatever it is that we have available. Let me take an example. So I was doing some design work, architecture slash design work yesterday, and I do a lot of it while I'm actually walking and I'm doing my workouts and whatnot. I'll do a separate video on that. But to get to what I was trying to say earlier, I was doing this. I was wearing a product manager's hat, right? Because it's part of what I do for a company. So I was designing. I was coming up with a list of requirements along with the user experience for this next feature that we're just starting to work on. So I do it one of two ways. And yesterday I was like, you know what? Let me do it as a pure product manager and not worry about the architecture, the design, and the implementation, and pretend that I'm not going to be doing any of those other things, which is not really the case, but just for a second, right? So I recorded a number of those voice memos and went to the last level of detail as much as I do in my first iteration, and it was great, right? So it had all of the details, and it was like, okay, it was a great place to start. And then when I started to do the next item, which was architecture and some element of design, I realized that as good as it was as to what I had documented, it did not gel well with our current platforms, dependencies, requirements, models, and controllers, and the architecture and the whole nine yards, right? It was very different. There were lots of gaps, and we can go ahead with the product management approach that I had in mind with the requirements and the overall user experience, except I would have to redo a lot of what we've already done, right? And just for this next new feature that we are starting out to build, it's not not just a new feature. It's actually a new service. It almost could be its own product, but whatever, right? It's pretty big. And then I started doing this again, trying to rethink those requirements, the product management activity, and the user experience one more time, so it actually would fit into our current infrastructure, current platform, current architecture. Now again, you might think, and it's a fair question, the question that might pop in your mind is, okay, if you did that, would you be doing justice to those requirements in a mutually exclusive manner? Maybe not, but it's not as simple as how it might sound. You can achieve what you want to achieve in terms of what you're trying to build out next by being cognizant of your current architecture and your code base. And I think you ought to be, right? 9 out of 10 times I do it that way. But a couple of days ago, when I did the recordings for this next thing that we were starting out to build, I want to try this other approach where I pretended like I was not going to be worried about what came next. As it turned out, even in a day's time, that was not the best of approaches, right? Sure. So we live and learn. So I did another set of recordings the subsequent day, which was yesterday, to see how we could take the same set of requirements, make some adjustments so it fits into the current architecture. So I don't have to re-implement the APIs. We don't have to re-implement the UI screens or the mobile app pages. At least if we didn't have to, or if it did not provide a lot of value to the end user. So I just want to share that experience. I don't know. There's a great middle ground there. Maybe there is. You want to wear the product management hat if you're a small team and come up with a list of things that makes the most sense to the end user who would be using an application. But at the same time, right, you have to be cognizant of what your dev team can do in the time frame that's available and what makes the most sense, right? So you're not going to be picking technologies and approaches just for the heck of it. It needs to make sense in the context of your timelines and deliverables. Well, sometimes we know it, but unless you make that mistake, you don't realize that you have to adjust your approach. So hopefully that helps you. Thanks.